Okay, so this is the next video in the Peek Behind the Novel series. So I have finished layer 4, which is the first draft, the down and dirty draft. That's where I just write down the story. I don't look back. I don't check on anything. Okay. So although I follow a system of writing and I use a pretty detailed outline for the story before I even begin to write, each novel presents different issues. In this novel, I had to pay particular attention to the timelines. I have a crime timeline. There is an evening out that has a timeline, and there is a timeline of when the clues are dropped within the story. So in this first draft, I merely sketched in the subplot, which is a family drama. I needed to focus on all of these different timelines. So the first thing I want to point out is how I have no chapters yet. If you look here on the left-hand side, I have the story divided into 4 sections. Okay, they're not even at all at this point. None of these scenes are written in cement. They might be moved as I go to the next layers of writing. So that's the first thing I wanted to point out. The next thing I wanted to point out is that while I was writing, I left little landmarks and guideposts for myself. I'll show you one here. This is what I left to let myself know that this is a sort of a free evening and another subplot scene can go here. Okay, so I don't have to pick through the whole novel and see where I can sneak in a subplot scene. So although I kind of abandoned the greater part of the subplot, I still left these little guideposts for myself. Now, the other thing that I did, knowing that I was going to be adding the subplot separately, is I also used my highlighter to focus on some of the timing and timelines of the subplot that might have to change as I write the full subplot. So rather than, again, having to pick through the novel to find every place I mentioned this, I use the highlighter in Scrivener so that I can easily, as I'm just proofreading in the next layer or as I come to the end of this layer, the highlighter calls my attention to the fact that I have to keep this in mind, that this might change as the subplot gets bigger. Okay, so now the next thing I want to cover is what I'm going to be doing in the next layer. So I'm going into layer 5. Now, normally I would do 2 things. I would go through all of the scenes and add all of the descriptions of the people, the descriptions of the scenes where they are. And then the second thing that I do during this layering is I make sure that I fill out my synopsis, which is over here on the right-hand side. Okay, and the reason, and what I do here is I just put in little snippets, nothing longer than a short sentence, to let myself know what happens in the scene. Now, the purpose of doing this is that once I have the descriptions in and I have laid in my subplot, I'm going to look at this novel in another viewpoint. It's the outline view. Okay, I don't have it set up properly right now, so I can't really show you much about it. But in any event, that's what I do during this layer. Now, in particular, I will be laying in my full subplot during this layering as well. So that's where I am, and I'll check in again as I either come up with some tips for new writers or I'm ready to go into the next layer of writing. So thanks for listening. If you learned something, please like the video, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you'll be notified right away when I upload another video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.